Why hello there. Welcome to my virtual video game store. I hope that you're doing well. And today we've got some great retro Xbox 360 video games, apologies, for you to look at, browse through, and you can let me know which ones you may be interested in, or if you've played any, which ones you've enjoyed. So I'm just going to run through my pile of games I've got here, and you let me know what you're interested in. I think you were in here around this time last year too, is that correct? Yeah, some of these games might be the same as last year if you remember that time, but you know, some of these games are popular seasonally. So, to begin, one of the best games of all time, and now that has a few sequels that, let me say, I have bought on the Steam sale and have not played yet. I am bad about that with the Steam sale, as I'm sure a lot of other people are who haven't. But we're going to start with one of the defining looter shooters of the console generation, Borderlands 2. That's right. All these retro games, I'm not sure which ones you've heard of and which ones you haven't. Most of these are pretty big name games. So, this is a classic, great storyline. One of the best evil villains in all of video games, I would say. Just a great grinding looter shooter game. You can get to a lot of levels, a lot of DLCs. You can spend a lot of time in this game. I would highly recommend it, especially if you haven't played it once. The story itself is pretty grand if you're into more of the story of games, but the fun, grindy part, especially, they do a challenge every year, the whole community does, called The Hunt, and that's like a certain time period. I'm not sure if it's a week, 3 days, 5 days, some time period where all the legendary weapons in the game, and all the legendary items, I guess, are worth different point values, and the person who can get the most points from a new fresh start character will win the hunt. It's just a fun, I think it's for charity now too. This year's temporarily postponed though due to Borderlands 4 being allegedly going to be announced soon for the release date, so we'll see when that one comes out. But if you're gonna play or get interested in Borderlands 4, I highly recommend playing through the first few before that. Let me turn these lights down a little bit, they seem a little blinding. There we go, that's a little bit better. So, next up, we've got a platinum hit. This game, as some of these games are going to be better on the computer, but if you don't have a computer or want a good couch game, the best part about the computer is that you can mod the games a little bit, have a little bit extra content, do more of what you want, but this one is the original Left 4 Dead. This is a great co-op game. You and 3 of your friends can play it. You can, of course, play single player on the computer. I'm not sure about console. I don't play my 360 anymore. I've put that back in retirement in its Hall of Fame. I'm not sure if the 360 servers are still up, albeit this is still a great game to play with friends or solo. Personally, I enjoy the storyline of both this one and its sequel, Left 4 Dead 2. Would highly recommend them. I've played through these many of times. Apology for the running water. Now we have another Valve classic similar to Left 4 Dead. It's Portal 2. Personally, I am a bigger fan of Portal 2 than Portal 1. This one has a great multiplayer mode that's different from the single player. Not sure how many levels there are. There's at least 36 or 40. Something about that in co-op. The storyline is pretty good too. Valve was decent at making storylines back in this time, but it's a good puzzle game. You shoot portals around. I'm sure you've seen some of the memes. about this game. These are some old classics, so there's been a lot of meme content around. Next, we've got BioShock 2. The BioShock series is a certified banger. Personally, my favorite is 2, but I will admit I've never played BioShock Infinite, which my friend gave mixed reviews on. He said, of course, the graphics and the gameplay were a little better, but the story was not up to what he wanted it to be. That's no day on him. I don't know as much. So, I think the premise behind BioShock is rather interesting. If you're really into the darker, a little bit more thriller games, then I would highly recommend it. Most of these are rated M for those of you, if you're looking for kids games of any kind. Portal 2 is E10. The other two I've shown are mature, as well as this one. But definitely a fun game. A lot of interesting stuff in this one. I don't have as much to say about it. Another interesting game that's a little bit more niche. It's a widely popular game, don't get me wrong, but it's not as much as a BioShock or Valve games, is Sniper Elite, and this is V2. Sniper Elite is a stealth World War II sniper game with some interesting kill cams if you shoot in the right spots, some missions, and it's just all about being a sniper during World War II. There are some newer versions of the game, V3 and such, that have different DLCs that have become popular. But I highly recommend it if you want more of a chill stealth game. I'm not huge on stealth personally, but this is one of the games that I really enjoyed. Also playable on co-op if you want to play with some friends. Now, I'm going to run through, I have an entire series, as probably most people do for this game, but these are all going to be mature. Some of the best fun I had as a kid playing these games with my friends after school, but we're starting out with Call of Duty World at War, and I am a sucker for Call of Duty Zombies, the game mode. This one has a really good campaign if you're into the campaign single player. Had a lot of fun playing this campaign. I've played this at least 10 times. The multiplayer, not so much my type, but this is where zombies all started. Nocturne on Toten, and I had a few more maps that came out after launch, but this is where zombies officially got started. I recommend, if you're into zombies, playing the original at some point. You'll realize how far it's come with how bare bones Nocturne on Toten, the original, is. So, highly recommend if you're into war games. If not, totally cool. But this is a good place to start your journey. At one point in my younger years, I went through and played all of the campaigns in order for all these games. From like World at War, I didn't start with like Call of Duty 1. Next up, we've got one of the bangers, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And this was a cinematic experience, as Team Xbox stated. One of the games with the best sound effects for a main menu. If you've played this game, you can still remember what it sounds like to move around your class menu and select something. I think that's one of the most satisfying sounds in a video game that's out there. If you disagree, let me know, because I'd be interested in seeing what competes with that sound. But such a great game. The multiplayer was really good, really fleshed out. Campaign was pretty good. The Modern Warfares had more Spec Ops style stuff than zombies, so I didn't play it as much. I was more into the multiplayer with Modern Warfare. But another great game. There's not really too much bad to say about it. Next up, probably the peak of my Call of Duty multiplayer experience, Modern Warfare 2. Now this game was insane. This holds a special place in my heart as one of the first games. This was the Call of Duty that was out when I first got my Xbox 360. One of the games that I saw my neighbor playing all the time, and he'd let me play when I came over. And just the most nostalgic game I can ever think of. I played so much of it. It's where I got my roots. Spec Ops was fun. Got 3 stars on all of the Spec Ops missions with my brother. Got up, I don't know what ranks we were in multiplayer. The campaign is really good. There's so many quotable lines, so many great scenes in this campaign, in the original Modern Warfare, involving Soap, McTavish, all the people. Great game. The servers are still up, I know that for a fact. Might be a lot of hackers, but great time. Next up, we've got Call of Duty Black Ops, the original Black Ops, and this is where, depending on who you ask, I think the zombies got better every time a new Black Ops came out, but these maps, not so much in the gameplay and stuff, like, looking back, hindsight, but these maps were amazing. Me and my buddies will play Zombies Chronicles, which is a DLC for a later Black Ops that has some of the maps from this game brought back into the new game with all the new perks and gameplay mechanics. Great maps: Shangri-La, Ascension, Moon, Kino. There's some more that didn't make Chronicles, but, so many banger maps. If you're into zombies, you already know about this, but if you want to get into zombies, this is the place to start. World at War is great for the history, but this is where the real magic happens. Multiplayer, not so much my speed. Really enjoyed the wager games, but I sucked at the multiplayer overall, so good campaign though. Modern Warfare 3 I wasn't the largest fan of. Decent multiplayer, and that's about all I played. Played the campaign, of course. A decent campaign, but I was in it for the multiplayer, not so much the survival or whatever the extra game mode in this was, but it was an okay game. Kept us alive for a year, in between the 2 Call of Duties, and then the Call of Duty Black Ops 2, one of the most widely successful Call of Duties, I believe. It included Nuketown 2025, the first Black Ops included Nuketown, and that's a call out because it is 2025 today. Now, this year is 2025. They were a little off in their predictions, of course, but made it more fun. Had the pivotal map Transit, first map, base game map. Either you loved it or you hate it, but another round of amazing zombies maps with all the DLCs. I personally liked Mob of the Dead a lot, even though I know it wasn't the star of the show. Of course, you got Origins, which is probably one of my favorites. And just so much in here, so much good stuff. If you're into war games, you've probably played most of the Call of Duties, and that run through is probably the best set of Call of Duty games out there. If you're going to do anything, play through the campaigns, enjoy zombies a little bit, see how multiplayer goes, get to level 10 or 15 in all the multiplayers, heck, maybe even the first Prestige, but I don't know where the servers are still alive or not. Finally, we've got a more divisive Call of Duty game, the final one in our stack here, Call of Duty Ghost. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of this. I did think that Extinction was a rather interesting concept, but the multiplayer wasn't it for me. I was big into quickscoping and stuff as a young boy, and this game kind of threw that for a loop. Quickscoping wasn't nearly as good, but I'm gonna be honest, I forgot the campaign. But, give it a try, because compared to some of the more recent Call of Duties, Ghost is still way better. So, and wrapping up here, we've got 2 more games. One that doesn't need any introduction, Skyrim. yet again, this is one that I highly recommend. If you can get it on the computer, get it on the computer. I know this is kind of counteractive to my sales position job, but the amount of mods, the modding community for Skyrim, next to none in terms of other modding communities. This thing is insane. There's so many quality of life mods, albeit there's a lot of interesting mods out there that aren't everyone's cup of tea, including mine. But there's some great expanded content, quality of life, little things that are added, graphic overhauls. The modding community makes this game still very relevant. What is it? 14 years later, it was released on 11/11/11. So a game that came out in 2011, this is probably the most talked about game from around that time. Highly recommended. Great story. I'm sure everybody's heard of Skyrim by now, though. Great story. Old buggy game, so you kind of need some of the mods to help out. I forgot where the modding community on the console is. There was a whole issue with that. People being charged and stuff. But charge money, not crimes. But highly recommend it. Definitely give it a go if you can. Finally, our last game. Now that we've gotten through all the more mature games, Skyrim, of course, is mature. This one's E for everyone. And if you're not into shooting games, this is the only game I've got for you today, so I apologize. But we've got Madden NFL 11. We do have other games in the back, but this one, classic Madden experience from 14 years ago. You can have all the classic players like Drew Brees on the cover, and you know, the graphics definitely aren't the greatest. We're advertising all new dual stick control. It's everything you see on Sunday. So you can tell the graphics aren't up to par, but retro Madden, there you go. We do have more games in the back, such as NASCAR, some Need for Speed, some racing games, more mature games like Halo, Gears of War, things like that. That was more of what we were into, me and my brother, as kids, so that's kind of what I gravitate more towards in the shop. But that's my collection for you today. So if you're interested in any, let me know. I'll leave them on the table here, and you can kind of decide, look through them for yourself if you want. I'll run up to the front to the register, and you just let me know. Come on up when you're ready, and yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the little run through today of the games. I hope they helped give you a sense. Feel free to look them up on your phone or whatever you need to help make a decision, though. If you're interested, I'll plug one time before I leave. If you want to join as a member of the store, you can. There's a form you can fill out below to join as a member, and yeah, I appreciate it if you do. No worries if you don't. I'll see you again soon. The next time you come in, I hope. And yeah, I'll let you get to picking out, and just meet me up at the front, and we'll get you checked out on whatever game. And if you need any from the back, let me know. Sweet. Sounds good. Well, I'll get you up there. Bye now.